Hi, I'm Colin from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is a handover of a 2016 Elddis Signature 155. So as we start the walk round on the outside of the vehicle on the driver's side first, you've got your two fridge vents and then the two vents for your microwave. External shower point, so this is a cold water feed external shower only, so you've got to pressurize the water by turning the pump on inside, which I'll show you when on board. So removing the cap, you then get a fitting that connects in there, and then on the other end of the hose is a trigger gun. Turning the pump on, you'll get pressurized water flow, and you can hose your bikes off, your boots, the kids, the dogs, but it is just cold water. Behind the back wheel, this is the location that you'll find the grey water drain tap. So once you've finished on your site, you drive over a motorhome service bay on the way out, and you would allow any water that you've used or anything that you've drained down a plug hole, such as dishes water, hand basin water, shower water, or anything you may have drained off, out the vehicle. It's very important in the winter that you drain these down as well. And then you have the blue one, which indicates fresh water. So if you've taken on contaminated water, you're simply not using the vehicle for a couple of weeks, or you're storing it up for the winter, you'd want to drain this off to avoid frost damage. Come round to the back, you've got your cassette toilet. So make sure the blade on the bottom bowl of the toilet is in the closed position, and this will allow the cassette to be lifted out. So to lift out, put your hand underneath the orange handle, lift it up and slide it out. You can then carry this or drag this to your waste disposal point, which is beside your toilet block. Remove your grey cap, and then you would press the button and tip out. Once you've tipped it out, there's normally a tap, so you put some water in via the spout, put the cap back on, give it a little rinse, give it a shake and tip out again. Then if you were using the chemical, this is 120 ml this cap, so you'd measure 120 ml of either the blue or the green chemical and pour it straight into the cassette. Or if you are using the tablet form, you put a pint of water in, so you can put a pint of water in now, or you can push it in completely dry, open the blade and flush a pint of water into the cassette, followed by a tablet of your choice of either the green or the blue in the cellophane packets, and that'll break down into the liquid into the cassette. This is where you would fill the vehicle with fresh water. So you'd get a hose pipe and carry a hose pipe with you in the motorhome, either one of them collapsible ones or just a normal hose pipe that you haven't used in the garden, with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on most sites. And then using one of the round headed keys, one's the habitation, one's the water, you can unlock this, place your hose pipe in, wait until it overflows, or until you know you've got enough water on board, which you can see on the control panel on board. Next to it, using the tri-mark key to open your lockers, this is your battery locker. So in here you'll find the location of your 12 volt leisure battery, your hookup point, and you do have a 3-pin plug. So if you were wanting an external socket, there's one in here. But to connect the vehicle up, you'd get your hookup blade, lift the collar to expose the end, and then slide it on top of the female connection on the vehicle. Put the orange wire through the groove, and then what you can do is you can lock the locker, and the cable is secure. On the passenger side, you've got your locker underneath the bed. So you'll notice you've got your carpets in there, your own and winding handle, and some storage. Going further down, LPG, liquid petroleum gas. This is your gas locker, again opens with the tri-mark key, and this is where you can fit two 6-kilogram propane gas bottles. You always want to be running off propane because that's what the motorhomes are set for. Two 6-kilogram. So what you need to do to get the pigtail on is it's a left-hand thread with gas, and then you'd need a gas spanner or an adjustable wrench to nip the pigtail up. Strap the bottle in and then turn the bottle on and off from the top of the bottle. Always make sure that you turn it off before you start travelling, as it is safer to do so when you're on the road in case you're involved in any road collisions. You've got your awning light, your dometic awning, your door opens with one of the keys ending 88, and then you've got your Fiamma security handle. So not only is this great to help you in and out the vehicle, but it also acts as a security measure. So what you can do is when you park it up, you can, or leave it on a site, you can push the handle over the door, and then there's a key here, a little one, where you can lock it, and it's just an added security feature so that the vehicle is secure. And then coming to the front passenger door, you've got your diesel filler, which opens with the main ignition key, and because it's a Euro 6 compliant engine, it's got AdBlue. So the AdBlue is a 19 litre tank, which just keeps the emissions clean on the motorhome. It'll come on between the temperature and fuel gauge. When it does come on, it'll indicate with a little light that looks like a gust of wind and exhaust light. Top it up as soon as you can. You can either buy it in the drums from your local car factors, or you can buy it on the pump like the HGVs at the petrol stations. But please do top this up. Failing to do so, the vehicle will go into limp mode and fail to start. Opening the door, on the passenger door you do have your tyre pressure, so 5 bar on the front, which is 72.3 psi, and 5.5 bar on the back, which is 79.5 psi. Toolkit underneath the passenger seat, which has got a jack in a brace and a towing iron. Underneath this panel in the cab floor is where the engine battery lives, and on the side of the dashboard is where the bonnet release is. So if we have a quick look underneath the bonnet, so to the left hand side, underneath the driver's side, you've got all your fluids. So starting off in the corner, you've got your screen wash, then this cover lifts off and you've got your power steering fluid and your radiator coolant, followed by your brake fluid, and then you've got your engine oil filler and dipstick for checking your levels. So you can just pull that up there, check your levels of oil on the vehicle. Paint code, which is 453 for the azure blue, and earth for giving or receiving a jump start. And then just behind the passenger headlight, pop your key into this cover, lift it up, and there's a positive contact there. And then now you would go off this sticker here, so you've got your build number, so that's the chassis number of the motorhome, not the cab of the actual conversion. 3.5 ton gross vehicle weight, 5.5 ton train weight, so that's the motorhome, and whatever you're towing can't exceed 5.5 ton, and then front and back axle weights. Stepping into the vehicle, on the side of the wardrobe beside the habitation door, you've got your main control panel. So first of all, if you are hooked up, you'll have 240 volt and all your 3-pin plugs will work, and you'll be able to run 240 volt appliances. If you aren't hooked up, you'll just have whatever charge is in your 12 volt leisure battery. So at the top here, it tells you just underneath the Elddis sign the volts of the battery. If you are hooked up, to get a true reading of the battery, take the hook out, and then this will sort itself out and give you a true reading of where the leisure battery is actually charging and what the charge is. And then below you've got a water sign, so if you press water, it'll show you how much fresh water you've got in the tank. So there you've just got just above empty, so you've probably got about 20-30 litres in there. But when you do come into the vehicle, the main switch you'll press is this bottom one, which is the master switch. So you press the master switch, which will turn on the 12 volt or 240. Then you've got awning, which is your awning light. Lights, which is the master switch for your interior lights, and then they all are individually switched. And at this side you've got tank heaters. So as this is a Signature, it's fitted with the winter pack. Should it be cold and it's potentially going to freeze overnight, when you're using the vehicle, what you can do is you can put the tank heaters on. They'll put some heat through the water to stop the water from freezing should it drop to sub-zero temperatures. And then when using the water, you need to turn the pump on, which is this one here, and this will pressurize the water through your taps, toilet, shower, exterior shower. If you didn't have this on, you wouldn't get any pressurized flow, and it'll just be whatever's left in the lines until it dribbles out. But make sure that you've got enough water on board before you turn the pump on, because if you didn't, you can burn the pump motor out because there's no water coming through. Underneath you've got your heating and hot water panel. So this is a Whale heating and hot water panel. There's loads of individual videos on YouTube of these, but I'll give you a quick rundown. So you've got on the top, tap, hot water, bottom, heating. Plus and the minus goes up this scale here, and this is the temperature. 30 degrees at the top, 15 in the middle. Starting off with the hot water, so it's saying there off there, so if you just click the button, so you've got frost start, which is approximately 5 degrees. You've got one line, which is 1 kilowatt of electric. So depending on what site you're on and what current they give you through the hooker blade, and the amperage of source would depend on what energy source you would use. So 1 kilowatt's the lower input of power on 240. Then you've got 2 kilowatts, which you can use on most of the big sites in the UK. You've got gas on its own, so you'd use this if you're wild camping. So you wouldn't have any other source available. Gas would be the only source you'd heat the vehicle off, and the water. And then you've got gas in 1 kilowatt, which is known as mix 1, and gas in 2 kilowatts. So gas in 2 kilowatts you'd use a lot more than gas in 1 kilowatts. So if you're away in the winter and it was really cold and you were struggling to get, and you were wanting water quick, or you were wanting to heat the vehicle quick, you can use both sources together, which will reduce the time it takes to heat that water or the vehicle. And then below you've got the vehicle. So this is the heating. So 1 wiggly line, 1 kilowatt, 2 wiggly lines, 2 kilowatts of mains power to heat the vehicle. You've got 3 kilowatts should you be on a super site, and then you've got gas on its own if you were wild camping. This would be the only source that you'd have available to heat the vehicle. And then you've got gas and 2 kilowatts. And like I was saying, with gas and 2 kilowatts, if you are in desperate need to heat the vehicle in the away in the winter, put it on this for about 10-15 minutes. And then you wouldn't want to waste your gas any longer. Just gives it a boost, gets the vehicle to temperature. And then what you would do is you would just turn it back to 2 kilowatts of electric to continue to heat the vehicle, because you've just taken the edge off and now you're allowing it to get warm. And like I was saying, 30 degrees, 15 somewhere about there. And then should you ever get a red exclamation mark down the side, what you need to do is whatever's failed, so say it was the heating, you'd press heating and plus together, press and hold until that exclamation mark erase itself, or if it was the water, it would be the water and the plus button together. But it's always important that you turn this off, so you would turn it off. Once you've had it on, allow the fans to fall silent on the heating, because if you were to shut it off with that on, you can fail the boiler, because the boiler's got a build up of heat and it's not allowing it to be blown out the boiler. So failing to do that will fail this, and then you will get the red exclamation mark. So always turn it off, allow the fans to fall silent until you can't hear them. That's when you know you can then turn the button off, you can unhook the vehicle, and you can jump in the cab and start driving off. To lock the door, you just simply, when it's shown green, it means you can go for the handle and it opens. lift it up so it shows red, and then no need to go and show green again. You can just pull the handle and it'll automatically open the door. In the wardrobe, you've got a large hanging rail. You've got your TV aerial, which if you wanted to use and you were struggling to get a signal, you'd loosen the nut off, push the stem out, and then direct the black collar, which will turn the aerial on the roof. But just look where the other motorhomes and caravans are pointing on your site, and then always ensure that it's pulled down and it's tightened securely before you start travelling. TV boosters, so you can boost it with this dial on the back. You've got your Truma solar panel on the back there, and both are flashing green, which means the batteries are charged, and it is charging the vehicle battery and the leisure battery. But you'll probably not need to use the TV aerial as you've got a max view satellite dome on this vehicle. So what you do is you turn it on here, the power button will come on, which is green, and a red LMB light will come on. It'll start and find Astra 2N. If you were wanting to change the satellites, if you were to go abroad, you just press the square button on the top and it'll go between the 7 different satellites. And then when it's found and it's locked on, you'll get the little orange light here, which means it's locked on. Above you've got a isolation cable switch, which means that because this is wired to the telly at the back and the telly at the front, you've got A and B. So if you're using the telly at the back, you just switch it over, and if you're using the telly at the front, you would just switch it over. So because it's only a single LMB, not a twin, you'd have to direct which telly you were using, because you couldn't watch 2 tellies at once. So you just change it like so. You've got your winter vents for your fridge vents on the outside, so these clip on in the winter from about November to March. You can still use the van with them on, but when it does get to warmer weather, take them off, because the fridge won't perform to its capabilities with these on in the summer, because it'll just be too hot for it to cool down. You'll also find your freestanding table there and some shelving. In the kitchen area, you've got 3 gas burners, 1 electric hot plate, which is the back one, which comes on by the red light. So once you've had these on for any length of time, allow it to cool before you put the cooker hood down. So make sure they're warm enough, because if it's too hot and you put that down, the glass will shatter and it goes into a million pieces and it gives you such a fright. So do make sure that you put that down when it's cool. Below you've got a grill, so you may want to take the grill pan out when you travel or wrap it up, as this can be the main cause of rattling, and the same with the oven shelf below. Underneath you've got red gas tap isolation switches to isolate the gas appliances on board. Any problems with gas, we always recommend you to turn the bottle off. These are mainly for when it comes in to be annually habitation serviced. The technician will test each gas appliance is working correctly. And you've got a little bit of storage under there. Storage drawers, and then you've got your cutlery drawer. To operate your Dometic fridge, you've got 3 sources. So you've got off on the top at 12 o'clock. At 3 o'clock you have the mains 240 volt electric, which looks like the electric cooker lead. So if you're pre-chilling it at home or you are on site, you would use this. Then you've got the battery. It's not the leisure battery, it's the engine battery when the engine is running, so it's got to be pre-chilled before. So if you're moving from site to site, you've obviously had it on, your shopping's nice and cold, so you can put it onto battery. Or if you've hooked it up a few days before you've went away at home, and the night before you put your shopping in, allow that to chill overnight, pop it onto the battery, and then when you travel from home to your site, it'll act as a giant cool box. It'll get no warmer, but it'll get no cooler, but it'll keep the shopping nice and fresh. And then when you get there, it'll be nice and edible, especially in the summer. You'll probably want to do this. And then at the bottom, gas. So if you're wild camping, you would use gas, as you would have no other source. And then what you would do is you turn the temperature to full, push that in, press the spark igniter, it'll go from the white into the green, and once the orange band is in the green you would let go, and that is the fridge lit on gas. If you're struggling to get the fridge lit on gas or any other appliance lit on gas, as you've had the vehicle sitting for a while, make sure your bottle's on, come in and prime it through the hob first. This will get it to the highest point in the vehicle, prime the lines, and then every other gas appliance should then follow suit and light. When winterising the vehicle, it's very important that you clean the fridge out. So take everything out, give it a wipe out, but then if you shut the door it forms an airtight seal, so all that clean air becomes mouldy, smelly air. To stop that from happening and stopping mould and bacteria from growing, on the light there's a little nib there, push it in, these two toggles will pop out, and what that does is if you now go to close the door stays open ajar, and you can get your hands round the rubber, which means the air circulation will flow in and out the fridge to stop the mould and bacteria from growing. Above the fridge you've got an 800 watt microwave which will work on mains electric, and the plug is just up there should you ever need to isolate it. Storage, your lights, two 240 volt sockets for a kettle and toaster, and then open your windows, open the toggle, tie the steer back, got a fly screen and a blackout blind, unloosen to bring the window in and then securely fasten. To operate your toilet, so make sure the pump's on, and then at the back right hand corner you've got a blue button so you can press this and it'll flush the toilet. Always flush first, which lubricates the seal on the blade, and then to open the blade on the front of the toilet you've got a grey lever. Slide this across to the right. Use the toilet with the blade open, flush after use. If you're going to use any pink liquid, it hasn't got a header tank like a Caravan, but what you can do is dilute it into a spray bottle, spray the bowl and then flush at the same time, and it does the same thing. It'll give you that nice clean bowl and smell. And then once you've finished, always get into a habit of closing the blade, so push it back to the left. If you leave it open, you'll simply not be able to pull the cassette out from the back of the vehicle, so always get into a habit of closing it, which means you can get it out should it need emptying. If you get there and you realise it's not coming out, you know what you've done, the blade's open. On the top right of the flush button you've got a picture of a diagram. You'll get a red light underneath here when the cassette is ready to be changed, which means it's full. Above you do have a hand basin, so once you've used this, don't fill it too full, but be very careful when tipping it back because it's got to run into a reservoir underneath. If you were to put a lot of water, it'll flow onto the toilet, so do be careful because you'll flood your bathroom. Toiletry cabinet. Got a toilet roll holder, and then you've got two turnbuckles, top and bottom, for your shower screens when travelling. If you take them off, you can cover the toilet. You've got your shower head, but when winterising, if you undo your shower head from your hose and allow the hose to lie in the shower tray with all the mixer taps open. So when winterising, it's very important that you leave all the mixer taps throughout the vehicle open. So kitchen, sink, shower, just to stop any airlocks from forming, and any water that's in the pipes or sitting in the taps can flow out and there's no risk of it freezing. Underneath the French bed on the 155 at the front, underneath this panel is where you'll find your consumer unit. So it's got all your 12 volt fuses on here, which are listed what to do, so it would be a good idea to carry some spare blade fuses. And then at the top you've got all your MCBs and your main trip tester, your RCD. So should you trip the vehicle out with a kettle or a hairdryer or a toaster, you can try here before you try your main site. So at the front we've now made the front double bed up. So what you'd do is you'd use the backrests from either side into the middle, but you'd slide the front of the seats out, so these just slide back and forth. To make your lounge, so it's very easy to make the double bed. I would also advise that you turn these base cushions upside down as well, because they've got a big bull nose front on, so it can be a bit uncomfortable sleeping with all the ribs. So turn it upside down and you'll get the flatter surface to sleep upon. So to assemble your 2 hidden travelling seats under the rear lounges, what you need to do is take the cushions off, lift the base of the sofa up like so, lift it up slightly more, and then press these 2 clips in, which will fold the board back. And then to assemble the seat, you've got 2 levers, so you've got the backrest and you've got the base. Using the backrest one, if you just slowly start to pull it through, be careful in case the seatbelt jams out, so just get a bit more length on the seatbelt. There you have a travelling seat, and you've got exactly the same on the other side. And then to fold down, you just loosen the base, fold it all down, and then fold it back. Behind the travelling seat, underneath the lounge sofa on the driver's side, is the location where you will find your wheel boiler drain down for the winter. So it's very important that you drain the boiler off in the winter, because it's not covered under warranty, as it's your responsibility to avoid and protect the vehicle from frost damage. And to avoid it from frost damage, you would drain everything off. So you'd open the fresh and the waste from outside, you'd remove the shower head from the shower hose, lie that in the tray to stop any water from coiling up in that, and then leave all the mixer taps throughout the vehicle in the open position. Then finally, you want to drain the boiler off, as the boiler doesn't only heat the vehicle, it heats the water, which is 10 litres on a motorhome. You don't want that 10 litres of water to freeze. So when it's across the vehicle, it's holding water. Pointed to the back, 10 litres of water starts draining directly out underneath the chassis. You would leave this in this position during the time you had the vehicle stood up and not in use, and then when you do want to use it, you'd shut it, fill the vehicle with water from outside via a hose pipe at the back, shut all the taps, shut obviously the fresh and the waste before you start filling it with water. Go to the cold, come in, put the pump on, go to the cold side of the tap first, you'll get pressurised cold water straight away. Go to the hot side, it'll cough, splutter, make all sorts of noises until you get a free flow of water from the hot side of the tap. This is when you know that your system is primed. You'd start off with 1 tap and then do them all. Once you've done 1, it's straightforward on the other 2, and then this is when you know your system's primed, and then you can start to heat the water and test the hot water. At the back of here, you've also got a red button just down in between this electric block and the freshwater pipe. Should it fail and you can't get that red exclamation mark off the wheel control panel for the water heater, you just press and hold the red button for approximately 30 seconds to reset the boiler. So now in the cab, which is a Peugeot Boxer, to the right hand side you do have your handbrake, and then on the doors you've got Remus carb line, so you can pinch and slide, and that'll black out the driver and passenger door. You do have curtains which will come round as well, which are more for the winter, because these are great for thermal insulation, as the cab can be the coldest place because the bulkhead isn't insulated, whereas all the other motorhome is grade 3 insulation. Pinch and slide, you've got your Remus carb lines on the front of the windscreen, and they just clip together on a magnetic strip. passenger and driver electric windows and electric mirror adjustments, and there's 2 mirrors on each side to adjust, so you would just change this to which mirror you want, top and blind spot. The last owner has fitted VB air suspension to the rear axle of the motorhome, so you've got driver side and passenger side, so you can adjust this. There's a compressor underneath the driver's seat, so you can either deflate it or inflate it to what pressure you want, whether you want a harder ride or you've got more weight in, so you want it to be a bit more harder on the suspension, or it's too hard, you can just drop it down so you get a softer suspension. But the VB allows you to carry a little bit more weight, ever so slightly, not much, but it's better for a payload because the axle is a little bit harder and can give a bit nicer of a ride as well, instead of it being too soft and it bounce along the road. A headlight adjustment, rear fog lights, trip computer on the end of the wiper stalk, which goes through the range, the average and instant consumption, the miles per gallon, the travelling times, the distance covered, and so on. All your steering wheel controls, lights and indicators, off, cruise control, push up to set, push up to speed up, slow down by pulling it down, cancel should you need to cancel the cruise control, resume, or you can cancel it with the foot brake. And then below you do have speed limiter, so going up slowly goes up in 1s. If you push it up and hold it, it'll go up in 5s, and then you can set your speed limiter so that you don't override the speed limiter set. But if you push the accelerator all the way to the floor, it will override the speed limiter for a safety feature. So if you just hover the accelerator, you should never over speed the limiter. Pressing all the way to the floor is a safety feature and it will rule out the limiter. Rear view camera, which is on all the time in any gear, as we're in neutral, or you can go into reverse and it's on as well. Asr Off is just another word for turning your anti-slip relief traction control off. Should you be on a wet grass and you want to give it a bit of oomph to get off, instead of the ESC anti-skid control from kicking in. Hazards, locks the cab, you'd have to manually lock the lockers and habitation door, and you've got your heated mirrors here. 12 volt points. Underneath you've got 2 cup holders, an auxiliary input and a USB input for the radio. Temperature on the outside ring, fan speed on the in, must be on at least 1 or more for the aircon to work, which is this button here. Distribution on the right hand side, outer ring, and then whether you're bringing fresh air in or recirculating the air within the motorhome. FM, AM and DAB radio, and you can press 1 to 6 to save, scroll through your channels. Media doesn't take the CD, media is obviously auxiliary or USB connection. And then to pair your phone, you press phone, it'll say no phone connected, connect phone, enter. Find my car on your device and make sure the pins match, press pair, then it'll ask you if you want to download your phone book, just press allow and your phone book will be synced into the head unit. Clipboard, so you can put bits and pieces on the top there. Glove box on the top, which is heated and cooled by the air conditioning, so if you've got it on cool in the summer with the aircon on, this is a great place to keep sweets or cans of pop, instead of putting them in the fridge or anything that you want to keep cool, chocolate. And then to turn the seats round on the motorhome for when you're on a site, there's 2 levers, one here, one here. Pull the seat forward and turn the seat round, and the driver's seat will do exactly the same, and this will give you a little bit more space for sitting when in the back of the motorhome in the lounge. And then as this motorhome is fitted with a Category 1 Vodafone Automotive Alarm, which model number is a 4615, if you were to leave a dog in, or you wanted to arm it with yourselves in, because it's got these sensors on the inside of the pillars on the windscreen, it would pick you up and the alarm would go off. So what you need to do is turn these ultrasonic sensors off, and to do so you need to put the key in the ignition, turn it to the ignition so the lights come on. Once the lights come on, turn the lights off. Within 6 seconds you press and you hold. It'll flash until it stops flashing, which indicates the sensors have gone off. As soon as the ignition and engine is started, it goes back to default and the sensors become armed again. So you'd have to do this every time you stopped.